Hey, this is Brandon Jones, author of the award-winning College Readiness 101 workbook series, here with another episode of the College Readiness 101 podcast. Now, I'm very excited today because those who have been following, you know that I've been working with students. I have a Students Perspective series, and we've been talking with college students about their college experience, their college preparation experience, and kind of what it's been like for them to go through the process. And today I have another one. I got an HBCU student by the name of Zoe. Zoe, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. It's a great day today. And I'm happy to have Miss Delbridge here with me. I appreciate it. So for those who are listening on my podcast, or if they're going to be watching on kind of the YouTube channel, tell us a little bit about yourself so they know who they're listening to.
Okay, well, hello, you all. My name is Zoe Delbridge. I am a sophomore here at Alabama Agricultural and Mechanical University. Yes, we are speaking to an HBCU student today. I am majoring in food science with a concentration in toxicology. I feel like in my life goal is to be able to find the cure to food allergies. It's something that I struggle with personally every day. So why not choose a career field that can help children and future generations to come, because it's hard for me, y'all. It really is, but I just don't want anybody else to go through what I go through. So
That's pretty interesting. I'm allergic to fish, right?
oh
And so
wow.
yeah. So I have kind of dealt with that all my life. And so to hear you say that this is what you're majoring in, that's pretty interesting.
Yes.
All right, cool. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to ask you a couple questions and kind of see what that process was like for you. See if you can shorten the learning curve for some students who are coming behind you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So you told me that you're going to Alabama A&M, right?
Yes.
How did you settle on Alabama A&M? So I went to Albany State, and they were in a different conference, so we didn't get a chance to play Alabama A&M. But tell us, how did you settle on Alabama A&M for the school as the school for you?
Well, backtracking to my senior year in high school, I told my English professor, I said, I'm going to Clemson. That there was no other option. Clemson was it. It's always been it since fifth grade. That's where we stood. And so my mom's friend introduced me to a scholarship called the Five Strong Scholarship, where you can get full tuition scholarship to an HBCU. So I was like, mommy, what's an HBCU? It's something I just never heard of, because where I grew up, it was more of a predominantly white area. So all
Right.
this was basically new to me. And so she was like, historically black college and university. So I was like, okay. So I was like, so which one should we choose? So you had the option to choose three schools. I chose A&M, Fisk, and Bethune-Cookman. And so I went through the first two rounds of the interviews. And in that process, I got accepted into TSU, Tennessee State University. And I actually visited the school for the first time. And I just saw how it was just an HBCU feeling, like something that I just never experienced out of all the
Right. You're
college
right.
tours that I've done.
You're right.
And I was like, wait a minute, there's people that look just like me out here striving for the same goals as I am. Like, that was pretty cool. And then seeing the band and the atmosphere, and it's just celebrating blackness all day long, every day of the week. And it really touched me in the heart. And I was like, okay, Clemson, we might have to move you to the side now. And so I got to the third round of the interview for Five Strong. And so at the third round, you have to decide whether or not you will accept the scholarship offer if you win. You have to accept it at that moment. And so I got the call that night and they said, you got it. Are you going to accept the offer? And I said, yeah. So I chose A&M, not seeing the school a day in my life, just only
Wow.
heard about it. And so when Five Strong brought us out here, I was like, wow, this was amazing. This was the perfect experience. And then we have a cohort. So I got to meet all the upperclassmen cohorts. So I know that I'm coming into college in a different state, knowing that I'm already meeting people that I know.
Right.
So at that point, it honestly was not about the money. It was about the experience and what I felt like was home. Because anywhere that I want to go, I want it to remind me of home. So
Right.
yeah, A&M made me remind me of home. So
That's an amazing experience. So just similar to you, like my junior year in high school, I went down. FAMU was playing Morris Brown, and I went to FAM's campus. It was their homecoming, and that's when I was really exposed to the real HBCU experience, right? And so I got to see how everything was happening down there in Tallahassee, and obviously I ended up going to Albany State University. Albany State was the only school in the state of Georgia at the time that had forensic science as a major. And
Mm,
so that's kind of what got me there. I walked onto the football team, earned a scholarship, and kind of the rest is history. But to your point, is there is just an experience, there's just a feeling that you get when you get exposed to an HBCU that you really can't describe, right? It just happens, and you say, you know what, I think this is where I need to be. So that's really cool. And so I do know about Five Strong because Mr. Drew Ragland, who's one of my frat brothers, his son actually received one of my scholarships. So
oh, that's
I know
cool.
he went down to FAM, right? So that's pretty cool that you was getting this. So you were telling us about Five Strong. That there's a cohort of students who go down together, and all of them have full tuition scholarships to attend an HBCU of their choosing for the most part. I know you have to get chosen as well, but the one that you want to go to.
Yep, that's basically what it is. And you're supposed to, the whole point is to matriculate to graduation. So you're
Right.
supposed to start together and finish together. And
That's pretty cool.
so, yeah, so looking at the senior cohort, all six of them are graduating spring of 2022. So it's pretty
Oh,
exciting.
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. So you really already have a little network when you get there. So that's cool.
Exactly. And we meet we have monthly meetings, we go out to eat, just spend quality time because at the end of the day, we all are from Metro Atlanta, so we can all come back together and relate to
Right.
certain things that goes on. Because Huntsville is different. It's most definitely different than Atlanta as a whole. So
Yeah. Atlanta is home, and so that's just funny to hear you say that. That's funny. So, okay, all right. So that's how you settled on A&M. Now, tell me, what was your college preparatory process like? Now, I know Five Strong was a large part of that, but outside of Five Strong, or within the Five Strong process, kind of what were you doing to prepare for college?
Well, my honestly, my parents were really active and involved in my life. They wanted for me to be ahead of the schedule. So I started taking the SAT, ACT the beginning of junior year, like maybe first, second week in
Okay.
high school. And so I took my test. I took about 3 to 5 times. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah.
But doing that and also going out and exploring colleges. Like I visited every college in Georgia so that my mom was able to allow me to make sure that I'm making sure I'm seeing everything, every option
Mm-hmm.
that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't come back and say, well, mommy, you didn't or you didn't expose me to.
Right.
So I
Okay.
think just visiting different schools and figuring out what do I want to do because I wanted to go in as a biology major, but ended up working out to be food science. So just exploring options. I feel like looking at that allows you to have a better mindset on what you want to do. Because had
Right.
I not visit TSU, I would have never really understood what it was like being at an HBCU.
That's really cool, and it's true because I think exposure is like the number one thing that students need to have, right? You need to be able to be exposed to different opportunities so that you can make an informed decision about your college education. So okay, all right. So I like that. So visiting a lot of colleges, just getting exposed to what the opportunities were. That's pretty all right. That's dope. All right, I got you. I got you. I got you. So now you told me before we started you were a sophomore there at
Yes, I
A&M. So
am.
you got through your first year. Kind of tell me what have you learned about it? What has college taught you about yourself that you might not have known before?
Well, being a sophomore now, I realized that I'm not the same person as I was when I graduated high school, and I'm
Okay.
definitely not the same person that I graduated. I mean, not graduated, finished my first year as a freshman because it was definitely a growing process. I felt like my senior year was ripped away. I was class of 2020, lost my
Right.
prom, lost my graduation. It hit me really bad, and I felt like that was the same thing that was going to follow me to college. And it kind of did a little. I mean, A&M was rather strict on rules. We had a
Okay.
curfew. There was not a lot of campus events. So it was kind of like I wasn't getting that HBCU feeling, but I knew that I was not going to give up. I was there
Right.
for a reason, which was to get my work done and to move on after I graduate. So coming in my sophomore year, it was definitely much better. They lifted
Okay.
the curfew. I got to see what it's like to go to every sunny Wednesday on the quad. Just getting the full HBCU experience, and it allows me to understand what do I want to do, what's my purpose here, as well as exploring campus as a whole to find out that the person who created my HBCU was sold as a slave here, and to know exactly where
Wow.
it was, that's so beautiful because he allowed me to get an education. I wouldn't be here at this school today if it wasn't for him.
Right, right,
So
right. Wow.
to have that feeling, it's like, wow, so I really have to make an impact here and I have to grow up. Some things happen in life, but it shouldn't stop you from moving forward.
Right,
So
right. That's so profound. When you start going through learning history, right, and the real history that you might not have learned, in high school, is really kind of touching. I remember when I was going down to Albany State University, and there's a long road called 300 when you get off 75, and it's about 40 miles to get to Albany from the highway. And I realized I was driving, me and my mom were driving, and um, I started seeing all these trees in rows, right? It was just in rows on all this land. I'm like, why are these trees, set up like that, and then when I got down to Albany, I found out that, that's how it was set up because of slaves. So they didn't want slaves to run. And so everything was set up in a way that they can always be seen. And it was just to hear that, and be from Atlanta and then to go to South Georgia, it's two totally different worlds. Like,
it
just like you said,
is.
just going from Alabama to Huntsville, it's like two totally different worlds. And so, just having that experience of being exposed to something like that, and is that's also a lesson, that you get, coming from this. It's not all academics, is what I'm trying to say. So
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. All right, all right. So yeah, you can do more. You learned about your HBC. You learn, you can do more. And what are you involved in? So what? So now that you're at A&M, kind of, what are you doing down there? Is there? I know we're still kind of really in COVID, so you can't do too much. But what are you doing now that you're there?
I'm actively involved in the honors program, and I'm also second. I'm second vice president for the Food Science Club, and I am community service coordinator for the honors program. And
Okay.
so, with honors, I felt like that's what truly brought out my character and figuring out my worth because we used to go through resumes, like really just start everything over. Like, okay, you're not in high school, you can't put this word in here. You got to
Mm-hmm.
take it out, as well as being around like-minded people, like people who my classroom size is probably about 5 to 10 people in honors.
Oh wow.
So I get that one-on-one connection with instructors. They tell you, hey, this is what you need to do, all this stuff, and they're ultimately here for you. I really do love honors, and I really love being service coordinator as well because I love coordinating service events.
Okay,
I mean,
that's
it
pretty
is
cool.
part of our motto, service is sovereignty. So we just have to execute it. So
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. So that's really cool. And I talk with my students, I always talk about getting involved, and that's how you build your network. And you'll be using your network that you build now for the rest of your life. And so you'll be reaching out to those individuals to assist you later on in life. So okay, all right. Well, I got one more question for you, and as you know, we are trying to shorten the learning curve for those students who are coming behind you. We are trying to give them some advice. So I ask all of my students that I speak with in this series, is there one piece of advice that you would give, a high school student who is coming behind you, a little brother, a little sister, a little cousin, if they were, coming behind you, what would you tell them in kind of the college preparatory process and or getting to campus? Like, what would be your number one piece of advice that you would share?
okay, so I've really been thinking about this all day because there's just so much advice that you can give somebody. But for me, the advice that I want to share is what somebody in honors shared with me the other day, and she said that you have one chance. You have one chance before it's a mistake. Meaning, as a black person specifically, you're only given one chance in this world. If not, your life and your path can go down the wrong direction. So always be cautious and be aware of what you're doing. Because number one, you don't know who's watching you. And two, you're not about to be a next person. You're not about to be the next person that's in jail. You're going to be the next person that's going to make it. So always just be cautious with what you do.
Gotcha. Got you. That is sound advice for somebody who's been on a college campus and been to the parties and been doing all this stuff there. And you're right. You got that freedom now. You can road trip. Nobody's telling you to get up and go to class. Nobody's telling you don't do this, don't do that. You're kind of making your own decisions now. And so for some people, that's a really tough transition. For others, they transition pretty well. So that's some sound advice for those students who are coming behind you. I appreciate that.
Of course.
Well, Zoe, you've been giving some good nuggets today. I've been enjoying this day. I've been really, really enjoying it. Thank you so much for kind of sharing a little bit of your experience with us.
Of course, and I'm always here. I mean, I'm not sure if like people can personally reach out to me because I'm always open. I have plenty of scholarship opportunities just lined up. Have a whole folder of them. So just any way that I could be of assistance because I was once upon a time in their shoes and I always wanted somebody to help me. So I want to help now.
Right. If somebody reaches out to me and looks for the resources that you have, I would definitely connect them and make sure that you can provide them with some opportunities that may be able to help them along their way.
Yes, thank you. That would mean a lot.
I appreciate it. All right, so let's go ahead and close this one out. So if you like what you're hearing and you want to learn more, you can subscribe to this podcast on your favorite streaming platform or on YouTube. You can follow my social media platforms at College Readiness 101 on Instagram and Facebook. And you can visit my website, collegereadiness101.com, to get more information about my resources and other activities that I'm doing with students and parents and helping them get into college. And so we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.